What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. I don't make a lot of videos on Latino heat because I consider content about him to be in the same lane as my John Cena, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, HBK, Edge videos, those kinds of guys. I'm pretty sure you guys who are subscribed to the channel, you most likely enjoy those videos the most from one of those four guys. As for Eddie Guerrero, he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Why? He had the in-ring skills, not just solid or good in the ring. No, he was one of the greatest. Top 10 worker, no doubt about it. He's a great promo. He'd make you laugh as a babyface, reel you in close to the TV screen as a heel, and as a face, as a matter of fact. Just thinking about that Brock Lesnar promo. He had charisma for days, and sorry Lex Luger, but Eddie Guerrero's the total package. One thing I hate in particular is that they always compare him to other Latino wrestlers. Come on, there'll never be another Eddie Guerrero, even if you tried searching all around the world. And to quote one of his rivals' theme songs, he's one of a kind. It left an indelible imprint on the wrestling world, and to this day, WWE has yet to find a Latino wrestler that could replace him. Matter of fact, no wrestler, regardless, can. Well, with that said, let's go back to a time where Eddie Guerrero was righting some of his past wrongs. So where do we start off? 2001. Eddie Guerrero at this point was in a rut of sorts. He had just gotten sent to rehab and was out for the entirety of the Invasion storyline. Why was he sent away? Well, according to the Observer, in June of 2001, Eddie developed a painkiller addiction due to his car accident on January 1st, 1999. The one that ended the LWO storyline. Well, soon enough, in October 2001, the WWF felt Eddie was ready to get back on the road, and he competed in a few house show matches. Just a few weeks afterwards, on November 9th, 2001, Eddie Guerrero was arrested for DUI. Apparently, he crashed his vehicle into an apartment complex gate, and just 3 days later, Jim Ross handed him his pink slip. I found out his friend said that Eddie was depressed at this point because his wife took the kids and moved away. And it was just a bad time for the guy, rock bottom. But you know what they say, the only way is up. After getting released, Eddie Guerrero began taking bookings from the independent scene. Most importantly, he cleaned himself up. His first match back on the indies was against Low Key, and Eddie continued showing why he's some of the best talent in the world, facing the likes of Super Crazy. I almost forgot to mention this, but Eddie used to come out to the song Smooth, the most overplayed song of the early 2000s. Making an appearance at the first Ring of Honor show, and even faced CM Punk and Rey Mysterio Jr. in a triple threat match. It's so weird to think that these guys were even in a match, but it happened. When I first heard Eddie had a run on the indies a few years ago, it blew my mind. He even had a short stint in New Japan, and he was doing well. During his time outside the WWF, John Laurinaitis was actually supportive of Eddie, calling him and asking him, how you doing? But then one day in March, Guerrero received a very important call from him. Apparently, they were preparing to sign him, Eddie, though, was unsure of signing because at this point he was 6 months sober, but he decided, why not? He participated in Hyper Battle in New Japan, and once he came back to America, put pen to paper. So that is how Eddie returned to the WWF. On the April 1st, 2002 episode of Raw, and at this point there was a brand split, everything was totally new and different. The first match of the show saw Rob Van Dam defend the Intercontinental Championship against Booker T. Right after Van Dam retained, freaking Eddie Guerrero runs in there, powerbombs the champion, and hits a frog splash of his own. And while I was making this video, I learned that one of the guys Eddie wanted to wrestle was Van Dam. It was clear that Eddie was going to show everybody that he's one of the best in the business. Plus, it was going to be frog splash versus frog splash. Everyone's going to like it. Once again, Eddie interfered in Van Dam's match the following week, but ended up getting his ass kicked. But despite this, he had the last laugh as he blasted Van Dam with the IC belts, giving way to The Undertaker winning the #1 contenders match. Well, I lied. Why? Because Van Dam was still in it. He managed to kick out of that. He ended up taking the last ride, though, and that's all she wrote. Shortly afterwards, a match between both men was made for Backlash. Now, regarding the title match, Eddie felt great about it, and he felt that this match was a step in the right direction. And of course, he wasn't only angry about the fact that Van Dam has the IC title, but it was the fact that Van Dam used the frog splash. His own frog splash, in that Backlash, he's taking back what's rightfully his, the IC title with the frog splash. Later that night, Latino Heat had a good showing in his first televised match, scoring the W in a tag match against Van Dam and Spike Dudley. Unfortunately for himself, he got his ass beat afterwards and was almost on the receiving end of a frog splash, but was saved by William Regal. Now, as for the match at Backlash, not bad. I'm invested in both guys' matches. They're always fun, so this one was good. Initially, RVD was fast with his unorthodox offense, and Eddie, on the other hand, was much more methodical going after the knee. Just look at that. Incredible torque on the takedown. There was cool moves, counters, but the champ was slowly hurting himself with these impressive moves. So Eddie worked on the back. It was very one-sided at this point, zero offense coming from RVD, and it wasn't until Eddie attempted the frog splash that the IC champion began fighting back. It didn't take long for Latino Heat to take back control, and like that, he won the IC title emphatically. Damn, you wouldn't have expected that. Sure, he cheated, but the way he won it felt so damn dominant. But yes, Eddie was champion again. He deserved it after exercising his demons. Match itself, it was good. I didn't expect Eddie to dominate for so long, though. So yeah. The next night, he once again attacked Rob Van Dam. This time around, the frog splash wasn't to be, and Van Dam managed to send Eddie running. So at this point in time, it was clear that a rematch was in the works between both men, but Eddie defended the gold against Jeff Hardy before that happened. Hardy did give Eddie a run for his money, But the champ did what he does best, and that's cheat. So they had the match at Insurrection. Eddie decided to DQ himself, but honestly it was forgettable. It wasn't that bad or anything like that. It's just not that notable compared to the other matches these two had. I mean, it ended in a DQ. What this meant was RVD was going to get his rematch at Judgment Day. Yup. That match in itself, at least for me, it was better than Backlash. I prefer over Backlash. It was much faster, fast-paced, and they took a whole different approach this time around. The crowd was much more lively by the sounds of it. RVD was damn near unstoppable during this part of the match, and it wasn't until the ref got involved that Latino he finally fought back. They went back and forth until Eddie had a powerbomb. Frog Splash wasn't to be, neither was RVD's, and both guys were really fuming over the fact that the Frog Splash wasn't hit. There were some cool near falls, and out of nowhere, Eddie stole the match. It was fun. You wouldn't go wrong in liking either their Backlash match or this one. I just personally prefer this one because it was much faster, that's all. But yes, Eddie retained the title, and he began focusing on a certain someone. So Stone Cold's chilling at a bar with wifey, right? Well, seconds later, we discover Eddie Guerrero, and Austin, meanwhile, was ready to sing a song. I assume he was probably going to go with the Creed song, when Eddie Guerrero took the mic. Texas Rattlesnake stared a damn hole in him, and things were very close to escalating, but since Devereaux was there, Austin preferred to back off. A couple of minutes later, Eddie's chilling, and now Steve's the one who's pushing Latino Heat's buttons. As he's walking away, boom, Guerrero smashes a beer bottle over his head. And so it was on. Eddie Guerrero versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, what do I think about this? Good program. It really could have been something special. I'll get into that soon, but before Eddie could put his full focus, 100%, on Stone Cold, he had to defend the IC title in a ladder match. Before that could happen, Chris Benoit made an abrupt return in his hometown of Edmonton. At this point, he had yet to return in-ring, but of course he was going to be here because Raw was in Edmonton. He's a SmackDown guy, by the way. He got drafted to SmackDown a couple of months earlier. So Benoit speaking, he's talking to the fans, whatever, when Eddie heard enough and came out. Latino, he said that he missed Benoit's jealousy. Yup, Eddie claimed that Chris Benoit is jealous of him. The champion was complaining about how Benoit's been the one who's held him back, and things were going to escalate, but the Raw owner, funny saying it, Ric Flair put a stop to this. He blamed Benoit for all this, but that's not the point. Chris ended up being escorted, but now before shoving Eddie Guerrero. As for the ladder match with RVD, so damn good, and it was definitely the best match of their feud. There were some high-risk spots. A fan wanted to smoke and got his ass beat, and the guys knew that the other wasn't gonna be taken lightly, so they hit all of these kinds of spots in order to keep them down, and I can only wonder how hurt their backs were during that night. And RVD, he has an insane record in ladder matches, come to think about it. Like in the WWE, I believe he lost one ladder match, right? Well, he's always fun in these kinds of matches, I really love his match with Christian. I'll eventually dive into that one. And yeah, like RVD in ladder matches, he's superb. They deserve to be showered in praises for sure. Definitely. Incredible performance from both men. Pay-per-view quality. RVD ended up winning, by the way. Right after the match, though, Eddie launched the ladder into Van Damme's kidney, and suddenly the glass shatters, and out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin, who proceeds to whoop Eddie Guerrero's ass. Rick and Anderson come out. They get beaten up. The crowd's going absolutely crazy. And to top it all off, hometown hero Chris Benoit enters the ring to come to his assist, and he assaults Austin instead. Eddie climbs up top and hits a beautiful frog splash. The fans were clearly let down by the turn, and what this meant was Eddie was in for a huge push. He was going to get that match with Stone Cold, and it was going to be awesome. Regarding the incident, this incident from Monday, Eddie said that he had felt off, but after that, after whooping Austin's ass, he finally found his Latino heat. Stone Cold, meanwhile, was fuming, so he wanted either Benoit or Guerrero in a match. That didn't happen, because instead, Flair and Austin faced off in a no punches allowed match, I guess. As for the Eddie-Austin match, that never happened because the Texas Rattlesnake took his ball and went home. It's a damn shame. I mean, by the looks of it, there was going to be a faction of sorts with Flair and Anderson leading it. I mean, that's what I assume. Since that was off the table, Ric Flair was slotted into Stone Cold Steve Austin's role. Like I said, it's unfortunate. I personally believe they would have had a 4-star match at King of the Ring. Then Benoit comes in at Vengeance. They could have had a superb showing. Damn shame. On the June 17, 2002 episode of Raw, Ric Flair came out to acknowledge his wrongdoings. This was because he lost ownership, he felt guilty, he's apologizing to the fans and whatever. And then for some reason, Eddie Guerrero trolled everybody by playing Austin's music. So he comes out and he's talking about how he's frustrated with how things went with Austin. And then he began disrespecting the Nature Boy. He then proceeded to hold him responsible for Stone Cold leaving, and most importantly, himself for not having the match of his life. To top it all off, he called him a piece of crap, and out came Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit questioned Eddie Guerrero's attitude towards Ric Flair, reminding him of the Four Horsemen. He reminded him of the fact that Rick won 16 world titles, and Eddie responded saying Rick is nothing but a loser in his book. He claimed Flair's last run is going to be worse than his run as an owner, and so after hearing this, the Nature Boy challenged him to a match at King of the Ring. things were starting to get heated, and Benoit all of a sudden got angry towards Ric Flair. He's like, oh, my opportunity's gone or whatever. This was because of the fact that Austin left. He held Flair responsible also. And then he throws a punch, and he ended up getting double teamed. To top it all off, Eddie locked Flair in his own damn hold to end the segment. Regarding the match at King of the Ring, first of all, Latino here was anything but worried. I mean, why would he be scared of a guy who lost to 60 overall Vince McMahon? The match itself wasn't too shabby. I mean, you got two guys that belong in the upper tier of GOATs, but it wasn't memorable. It just wasn't memorable. Also, I don't get why anybody didn't notice Austin's presence there. They had a couple of matches in WCW, but the guys just never had a classic. They had a couple of matches on Nitro and on pay-per-view for the US title, but none of them stood out. They weren't classics. Like I said, this just didn't stand out. At some point, Benoit felt the need to get involved, and out of everyone that came out to attack Eddie Guerrero, it was Bubba Ray Dudley. And his presence was enough for the victory. So Eddie lost. What this also meant was a feud between those two was on. Eddie was angry over the King of the Ring and went out to return the favor the next night. He was talking like a chip was on his shoulder or something. And the match itself lasted for like a minute because Eddie won by roll-up. It still didn't matter though because Bubba powerbombed him right through that table. All of a sudden, Chris Benoit runs in and locks a crossface on Bubba. And I find it funny how these guys went from feud with Austin to a feud with Bubba Ray Dudley. The following week saw Chris Benoit's return to in-ring competition. I should know this was his first match since King of the Ring 2001. Last time Benoit competed, Nickelback weren't that known. Things were very fast-paced, and one little mistake caused Eddie to lose the match. Despite this, Benoit was craving action, and he proceeded to throw Spike, poor Spike Dudley, through the table. Benoit then locks in the crossface. Eddie taunts Bubba, and really, at this point, these two men, they were the embodiment of ruthless aggression. Soon enough, a tables match between those two teams was booked for vengeance, and what a fun match it was, really. An entire pay-per-view, as a matter of fact. Unfortunately for the ruthless guys, the Dudleys had way more experience in this type of match, and won it. It wasn't like things went downhill for Eddie from here on. Quite the contrary, because the next time around Grand Rapids, Eddie showed just how confident he was. So The Rock was out there talking about his title victory. By the way, top 5 triple threat match in WWE history. That's not the point. Eddie came out looking all angry, calling him La Roca, which got a laugh out of me. The reason why he was out here was because of his two girls. One night he walked into their room to say goodnight, and he ended up seeing a disturbing thing. No, it wasn't his picture, but a poster of The Rock. So he taught them a lesson. He ripped up that poster, they cried, and asked, why are you doing this? And The Rock just heard enough and proceeded to call him a psychopathic freak. He questioned his parental skills. He called Eddie a movie star. Latino, he believed that this was jealousy. Like The Rock and all these gavachos know that Eddie Guerrero is a better wrestler. He even said that he's got the hottest haircut in America today and demanded they call it the people's mullet. Of course, The Rock had to make fun of the mullet. It was clear. Eddie, however, changed the subject, asking for a match with La Roca, and if he wins, he wants a title shot. So The Rock heard Latino Heat loud and clear, and once again, he then sang La Bamba, making fun of Eddie, and Latino Heat was seething. He was just angry at this. He got serious for a second and promised to whoop Guerrero's candy ass. Honestly, watching this promo, it just wouldn't fly today. And why in the hell didn't these two have a program, a full-on feud? Like the 3-month or 2-month feud, it would have featured some amazing promos. Eddie would call out The Rock and say he's fake or whatever. I think could have made for some good television. And the matches, oh my god. Pay-per-view quality matches between these two, it would have been something special. Yeah, it's just a damn shame it didn't happen. The match goes down later that night, and damn was it good. Eddie got the chance to stand one-on-one with the gray one, which I thought was cool. I mean, we all know how everybody likes 04 Eddie, but Mullet Eddie was something else. He took control in the early going. Brahma Bull, though, had fight in him, but it wasn't enough to steer him past Eddie yet. Once the Rock train got rolling, he was damn near unstoppable, and just as he was going for the Rock bottom, Eddie countered it in the greatest way possible. Seriously, you'll never find a counter as good as that one. He attempts a frog splash, Nope walks into the spine on a pine, and that's all she wrote. Fun TV match that I suggest everyone watch just for the sight of seeing two combustible elements. Sometimes that's enough. Like, the match doesn't have to be good. You just want to see those two in the ring. Anyways, this is where I'm going to have to end the video. I was planning on including the Edge feud, but that will be featured in a long-ass video showcasing the awesome SmackDown 6. If you guys want it this week, then make some noise in the comment section. I'm trying to think of a way to structure it. I think we're going to talk about the Eddie and Edge feud, the Angle and Benoit feud. Then we'll talk about how Ray and Chavo had their own issues, then how those 6 guys all formed tag teams of their own and all that. It'll be a pretty long video by the looks of it, so yeah. What you guys think of Eddie Guerrero's return? Please comment down below. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the 3 amigos on the like button and perhaps the frog splash on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.